Hi everybody, welcome back to Dee's Book Brain. I am Dee and this is my book brain. Today we're going to do a quick video. Now, do you remember in that first video how I said I wasn't going to do a lot of unhauls because I like keeping all my books? Well, today we're doing an unhaul! Woo! So my husband and I, we're actually shooting this, and as you can see, I am not made up in any way whatsoever. That is because we are actually on our way out of the house to go to my husband's hometown where that nifty little bookstore is I told you about that does buy, sell, trade. So I'm actually going to take a basket full of books to sell so that I can buy more books for a haul next time. All right, this is gonna be great. We're already off to a really great start. I'm feeling super good about this video. Okay, here we go. And normal disclaimer, if you love this book that I'm giving up, that doesn't mean anything bad about you as a person. I feel like that's kind of common sense, but I'll kind of maybe explain why each book, maybe not every single book because there's a lot, but why I'm not going to continue reading any of these or read any at all. All right, here we go. So the first book we have is My Plain Jane by Cynthia Hand, Birdie Ashton, and Jody Meadows. This came in an Owl Crate book box, and this is kind of a historical retelling of Charlotte Bronte. And it says a fantastic, romantic, comedic, entirely faithful retelling of Jane Eyre, but not so much. I love Jane Eyre. It's one of my favorite classic books. Realistically, I just don't see me reading this one, so it's gonna go towards a book that I can read and want to read. Awesome. Next, we have a book called Elemeno Pay, and it's by Mark Dunn. And this is actually an interesting concept. It's about this woman who lives in a town, my cat is calling out to me. Yes, my darling. Yes. All right, she doesn't need me anymore. So this is about a woman who lives in a town. Something about like every so often a letter in the alphabet gets removed from the town's lexicon. And so like, it's interesting because like the letter that gets removed also gets removed from the book itself. Oh, my producer's phone is going off. Actually, now that I'm holding it, I don't know if I want to get rid of it. Yes, I do. Okay. So the next book I'm getting rid of is Terry Brooks' The Magic Kingdom of Landover. I read this is an omnibus of the first 3 books, and I read Magic Kingdom for Sale Sold, and I actually really liked it. But am I gonna continue reading the rest of these? Probably not. It's about this man, this modern day, it was written in the 70s, I think, but it's about this real life man who ends up buying a magic kingdom and becoming king of said kingdom. And it was good. There was nothing wrong with it, but it's been so long since I read the first book that I'm just kind of like, do I want to keep reading? And another disclaimer to say is that I now have 4 library cards. You can actually get non-resident library cards for a lot of libraries in America for like a yearly annual fee, and I've done that. So I won't say most of the reason, but like some of the reason I'm giving these up is because like if I did want to continue with this series, I can get it from one of my 4 libraries. So I can get credit for another book that I really want to read right now and just pick this one up from the library at a later date. So that is why this is going in the pile. And next we have, because I'm a completionist, Terry Brooks' Magic Kingdom of Landover, Volume 2. So this has 2 different books in it. I might continue with the series, but it just won't be with physical copies that I get. So next we have this really far out looking book, Worlds of the Golden Queen by David Farland. Look at that. It's like fantasy meets sci-fi meets talking bears. I'm not real sure what's going on with this. Again, it's just one that I have not grabbed or gravitated towards for any reason. So maybe I'll read it one day, but I'll just get a copy from the library. And this one can find its way into someone else's home that will actually read it immediately. So there you go. All right. Anne Bishop's the Jack Bulls trilogy, the Black Jewels trilogy. I tried reading Daughter of the Blood, the first book in this trilogy. It is not for me. When they say dark fantasy, they mean dark fantasy. I'm talking just all sorts of terrible stuff. It's not for me, Anne. I'm sorry. It's not for me. It might be for someone, but it's not for me. Next, we have Daylight War by Peter V. Brett. I don't just have Daylight War. I have all the books in the Warded Man series. Desert Spear. There's another one in here. It'll pop up. I have finally decided that epic fantasy is not for me. I don't care for it. And so these books have been sitting on my shelf for a very long time, and I just don't foresee myself getting to them anytime soon, if at all. And again, if I want to, go to the library. It's free. So I'm just going to give these up, give them up to a home that maybe somebody who actually will read them can read them. Next up, I have Meg by Steve Alton. I have another copy of this. I have the re-released copy, the updated one with the new first chapter and all that. So I just don't need 2 copies. That's all. Speaking of not being into epic fantasy, but at one point in my life thinking that I would be, I'm giving up Brandon Sanderson's The Way of Kings and Words of Radiance. I try reading fantasy, adult fantasy, constantly. I want to be that person that can read a book like this and not sweat it at all. I have tried reading Game of Thrones, couldn't do it. Tried reading Wheel of Time, couldn't do it. So I'm not even going to kid myself with these. Somebody wants these books. It's not me. I'm giving them up. Told you I had more of the series. Skull Throne. Although that does look like a BA cover. Next, we have Stalking Jack the Ripper by Carrie Maniscalco. Sorry. I tried reading this book. I couldn't get into it. People have been raving about this series, and I'm sure that it is really good, but I couldn't get into it. It's just not me. Sorry. Next, we have Fiona McFarlane's The Night Guest. The only reason I have kept on holding on to this book is because it is beautiful. Look at that cover. That is stunning. It's about a woman who gets a night guest. I know that's a little obvious, isn't it? I fear that it may have a little bit of magical realism in it, and that's not my cup of tea at all. I don't like magical realism. Somebody will want it, and that's what we're here for, helping others out. Next, we have Rise of Empires by Michael J. Sullivan. I have the first volume on the Kindle, so once I read it, if I read it, if I want a second one, I'll just get it from the library. Then we have this one, Sword and Scoundrels by Julia Knight. I just got it because the cover looked awesome, but again, we bump into that, do I really want to read fantasy? I am finally making peace with the fact, like, I have been holding on to all of these epic fantasies for so long, and I'm finally letting myself let them go, and that's a big deal for me. So, to continue the theme, we have Brent Weeks, The Black Prism, and The Blinding Knife. Ooh, everybody loves, actually this one is, you either love it or you hate it. I don't know where I would fall, but I'm not gonna find out. These 2 books have been sitting on my shelf for a very long time. I haven't read them in the like 5 years I've had them, or however long I've had them, and I'm not gonna read them. And if I want to read them, I'll get them from the library. So the first one we have is The Boar by B. Catling. I really want to read this book. Well, I say I want to read it. I am very intrigued by this book, but after reading Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer, I'm very skeptical of these kind of things because I didn't like that book at all. I didn't like it. I loved the movie, didn't like the book. So I haven't reached for it. I'm probably not gonna reach for it. It's going to somebody else. And if I ever want it, you know the drill. Get it from the library. Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. What else did Blake Crouch write? Blake Crouch. The Pines? Yeah, Wayward Pines trilogy. Now that I know that, now that I've remembered that, I actually might keep this one because I loved the Wayward Pines trilogy. All right, I'm keeping Blake Crouch. You've survived the elimination. All right. So the last bit of these books, I know I keep looking not at the camera. I'm sorry. I'm new, okay? I'm new here. So these last books are all romance. I go through phases with my romance. Sometimes the only thing I want to read is Regency romance. And I want to lock myself away from the world and fall in love with these fictional men who have issues most of the time that lead to really questionable decision making. Anyway, now I am not in that phase of my life. So I have a bunch here that I am not going to read. So I'm giving them up. I'm not going to go into any plots. I'm literally just going to name them and drop them. First we have Put Up Your Duke by Megan Frampton. Censored for YouTube. Just kidding, that's a price tag. Next we have One-Eyed Dukes Are Wild by Megan Frampton. Again, censored. Now, let me not get it twisted. I actually love Sarah McLean. She is my favorite romance writer. If you've not read any of her stuff, do it. The only reason I'm giving this up is because I'm not gonna reread it. And if I do want to reread it, I know for a fact that she's at the library, so. Then we have Romancing the Duke by Tessa Dare. That is the most beautiful woman I've ever seen in my life. Stunning. Oh, Megan Frampton, I'm sorry, girl. I am letting you go. My Fair Duchess, Megan Frampton. Ooh-wee. Catch a Falling Heiress. Put her in your pocket. Never gonna let her go by Laura Lee Girk. Another Sarah McLean, Scott in the Dark. Tessa Dare, When a Scot Ties the Knot. Laura Lee Girk, When the Marquis Met His Match. Oh darn. Tessa Dare's, I really thought it said Say Yes to the Dress, in which case I was going to keep it just because I like that show, but it Say Yes to the Marquis. Megan. Sorry, girl. Sorry to do it. Megan Frampton's The Duke's Guide to Correct Behavior. What is that? What? And last but not least, Tessa Dare's Do You Want to Start a Scandal? You know I do, baby. Anyway, that's all the books that I'm giving up. I anticipate that once we get home from our weekend trip that I will have a book haul. I'll save it till the end of the month because that's what normal booktubers do. I don't know. I'm new here. But that's it. That's all I wanted to show you guys. If you think that I should keep any of these books, let me down below. If you think I should keep any of these books, let me know down below. I won't keep them despite your comments, but it will be noted and I'll write it down in my diary. All right. Bye, everybody. Bye.